This is a blog about something that I think will be happening more and more in the next few months, which is a situation where a job seeker applies for a job and is told one way or another that he or she is overqualified for that particular job. What happens next? What can you do if you are that job seeker to overcome this very, very difficult situation, which has become something of a standard way to push back on an applicant? And I would say in the current climate and the next few months, it's likely to be heard more and more loudly. So what do you do? Now, there is a temptation, of course, for the job seeker, the individual, the candidate, to almost be almost kind of a little bit affronted by this and to answer in some shape or form, albeit probably with plenty of charm and diplomacy, is to almost say, well, hang on a minute, you're actually going to get someone that's really, really good for less money, perhaps, and at a lower job level than you would normally get. And that, Mr. Company, is really great news for you. So why are you not absolutely snapping me up? Now, that all might be true in some regard. The difficulty, of course, is that the company knows this. They're not saying no to you because they don't recognize that there could be some great advantages in having someone that is overqualified. The reason they don't go for people who are overqualified a lot of the time is because they are concerned about what will happen in the near future. What that basically kind of breaks down to is, if we hire you, Mark, and knowing full well that you are overqualified for this job, Mark, our fear is that you will do this job for a short period of time until such time as something better comes along, which you will always be looking out for. You've kind of almost got one eye over our shoulder looking for a better option. Or, possibly even worse, you don't necessarily look to leave too soon, but your whole attitude whilst you're here is that you are doing us a big favour, and therefore you don't exactly give 100% in this role. Neither of those outcomes are any good to the company. So that is normally why they don't go for people when they are presented to them in a way that perhaps should be attractive because they're overqualified. So what can you do to kind of counter that? I think in many ways you've got to have a very honest and frank conversation. I think you've got to acknowledge where the company's coming from. You've got to acknowledge that there's a reasonable point to be made here, that you could be someone that just comes in thinking, well, this will do for now, but obviously something better will come along pretty soon, and then I'll clear off and do that instead. I think you've got to try and find a way to reassure the company that that's not going to happen. Now, apart from just saying it and declaring it and crossing your heart and hoping to die, it's difficult to really get that point across. I think unless you can maybe talk in a bit of detail, and this is where you might need to get the company's guidance, really. You need almost need to say to them, look, you know, I am someone that's ambitious. I have worked maybe at a higher level before, or I've had more responsibility, and we're acknowledging that. What would I be able to do in this job down the track, and that's key, stress that point, down the track, in order to utilise the skills that I've got from my past. Allow the company to sort of set some degree of timeline as to when you might be able to build. If they have more control, the company, they are more inclined, I think, to see you as someone who's acknowledging that you can build your way back, but it isn't all going to happen in the first week or the first month or even the first quarter. You've got to allow the company to feel there's some control there. And it's difficult because you can't really prove this stuff in advance. But I think if you can have a very adult and honest conversation where both sides can set out their concerns, if you like, I think you've got much more chance of a company agreeing that if we hire this guy, Mark, who's overqualified, it could still work out really well for us. And it will work out, crucially, for enough time that we don't look back later and go, we should have just gone with someone at a more appropriate level and this would never have happened to us. So think that one through and be very honest about how you would see it on the other side, and I think you can construct a much stronger case. Okay, good luck.